Hello and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting. Just a quick recap, this is the dream, and this is the budget, or as close as we can get to zero. So this is what we started with last time. Not looking great, I agree, and this is the progress we made last time. Whoa, look at that transformation, amazing. So what progress will we make this time? Welcome back, guys. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm sorry, they're chatting away. So with that said, let's get started. I promised myself that I would start my vegetable patch this time. I realized that I had been putting it off because I was too nervous to make a mistake. But if I never try, then I know 100% nothing will ever grow. So I'm just gonna get stuck into it, and if I make some mistakes, I'll just learn from it and try and fix it. So this week I'm supposed to be planting vegetables in my vegetable garden, but I have a truth to tell that I actually planted vegetable seeds 3, 4, some of them 5 weeks ago. In my big planters, I put the seeds in. I got the seeds from the pawn shop and Home Bargains, so they were pretty cheap. I don't know if that's the reason why nothing has grown. Yeah, I planted them in the hopes that by the time we were making this video, I would have like some little growth to show you, and then we could like celebrate the vegetable garden come to life. But literally nothing grew, nothing grew at all. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm a liar. One lettuce plant grew. I'll show it to you. It's doing really well. That's right. Yeah, that's all we got. So listen, I'm getting like discouraged, with the vegetables. I'm getting quite discouraged. So my thought is, these planters right here, none of the seeds have grown, and I feel like I'm late to the game. Like, it's the middle of June, so I'm like, is it too late to grow seeds for vegetables? I don't know. I feel like it might be. So what about if these three right here, we don't make a vegetable, we don't use them for growing vegetables? What about if we use these for growing wildflowers?
A few moments later.
Oh my god, you guys, I just used that app. I can't remember the name of it, but it tells you take a picture of something and it tells you what it is, like what the plant's called and stuff, right? Jeez, Archer, excuse you. So just by chance, I was like, look, I don't think it's gonna be able to tell me what this is. It's so small and stuff. But I took a picture of it and it told me that this was a carrot. So some of my seeds are growing. I mean, I think this might be the only one. I see a little, you see? But that could be something else, like grass. That's the only one that I can see that looks like that. But at least one carrot is growing. That's amazing. Also, this one right here hasn't had a lid on it. I left the lid off because I'm short one lid. So my chickens have been digging in this like crazy. So the fact that that little guy has survived and grown. You're a tough guy. You're a tough little seed. This little rhubarb plant I got for £2 reduced. And it was almost dead, and it died a lot more when it went in the ground, and I thought it's not going to come back to life. It had bigger leaves when I bought it and they just died away, so I thought, it's a goner. But look, it's actually come back to life. Good for you, little buddy. So now we have, I'm pretty sure one of these is a blackberry tree, a gooseberry, raspberry maybe. I got those like I think 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm hoping they produce some fruit this year. But yeah, that's why I can't remember their exact names of what they are. And then we have a rhubarb right here. Amazing. So the fruit is doing very well in the garden, but the vegetables not so much. So I found this metal archway in my garden shed. It's been there for a long time. I'm not sure how long, but it is spider infested. You can tell from my face that it is filled with spiders. But I am determined to make my vegetable garden super cute, just like the inspiration pictures. I am dedicated enough to touch spiders. I would prefer not to, but if I have to, I will. I also had some leftover chicken wire from when I made the chicken coop. And so I thought if I could put that around the archway, it would just give additional support to whatever I grow there. I saw it on Google and it said to do that, so if that's not right, you can let me know. I'm really happy with it so far. I think it looks lovely. We got these really cool black pumpkin seeds, and I got some traditional orange pumpkin seeds. They're meant to be like huge when they grow. And I also got some ghost white pumpkin seeds. So I popped some of those into the ground around the archway. Are you guys ready for this? You're not going to believe what I got today. Hyd Ranger. Look how beautiful it is. Oh my god. They don't really smell of anything, should they? But look how gorgeous. Isn't that so pretty? It was half price, so it was meant to be 15, so I got for £7.50. They have loads and I had to stop myself from getting more, but look how gorgeous. And I feel like all English cottage gardens have this, don't they? Or am I imagining that? And don't they get like quite big? So I'm gonna put this in the ground. And I'm so excited. I can't believe I got one. This is like a prize flower, you know, like real fancy stuff. So I am extremely pleased with this purchase. So yeah, I'm gonna put this guy in the ground. I have another one that I got last year in clearance, but it was literally tiny, this size, and it was mostly dead. It has come back to life, but it's not as big as this one yet. So maybe I'll put that in the ground as well, possibly. Maybe. But yeah, look how beautiful. Exciting times. So I mentioned in my previous video that I need to do something with the outside of my house as well, because I can't have this rundown shack ruining the look of my beautiful cottage garden. Now, in my house's defence, it is over 40 years old, and we live in the countryside in Northern Ireland, so we are super exposed to the elements. So it doesn't really look that bad when you consider what is being put through. But you know yourself that sometimes a little revamp can go a long way. So as always, I started with whatever I could do that didn't cost any money, which was cleaning the windows and painting the windowsills. When we bought the house 5 years ago, the windowsills were cement. But got it looked grubby very quickly. So the first thing I did was paint them, but you have to repaint them every summer, just like staining the fence. But to be fair now, I have been using the same tub of masonry paint for the whole 5 years, so extremely cost effective. It only takes me a couple of hours, and just like staining the fence, at the time it's a pain in the butt. But afterwards you're like, yep, totally worth it. It looks so much better. I'll do it again next year. We also live in a bungalow and it has a lot of really big, beautiful windows. So there's a lot of window sills. But like I said, it is worth it. I have very little regret about painting them. They look beautiful afterwards. But after I painted all the windowsills and they look super cute and beautiful, it made me realize how bad the stains on the walls were. Like it really drew attention to it. So I googled it, and my walls, my exterior walls have pebble dash, it's called, and they're very prone to growing this algae on the walls, and that's what the red and black stains you see are. They're algae. You can buy solutions online that you spray on the wall and it kills the algae. I looked at that. I thought, yeah, that would be totally awesome. Let's do that. And then when I calculated the cost, it was almost £300 to do our house. I don't know if that's because we're a bungalow, so it affects all of our walls are on the ground, so it might affect us more than if you're in a two-story home. But £300 was not in the budget, so I had to figure something else out. Looking around online, I stumbled on a builder's website on a forum, and they were discussing this very problem. And some people in the forum had said that they actually used a bleach mixture and it did the same job as the solution. So I thought, what the heck, let's give it a try. What have we got to lose? As you know, you can get bleach super cheap. I ended up getting a bottle of bleach for 30 pence in Home Bargain. So I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. And if it works, awesome. If not, you've only lost 30p. So I did a little test spot on the wall just to see if it would actually work before I sprayed the whole wall. And can you tell where I tested it? Right, it's so obvious. It looks so amazing. I cannot believe it. So in case you're interested, in case you have the same problem, the mixture is half bleach, half water. You spray it on, ideally when it's a hot day, let it bake in the sun for a few hours and then rinse it off with the hose. I actually left my mixture on for about 10 hours. I put it on in the morning and then that evening I rinsed it off with a hose and it immediately worked. So I was actually using, you know, that hand spray bottle that you would get like a cleaning for your kitchen in. I was using an empty bottle of that and then spraying it with that. And then someone took pity on me and said, "Hey, do you want to use my big sprayer?" They know I was using it for bleach. I think they normally use it for weed killers, so they were fine with me using it for bleach. But this little sprayer, I think I saw it in B&Q for maybe £20. But it made it so much quicker and so much easier. I'm going to keep it as a surprise for the end of the video so you can see how big a difference that this made to the house. I want to keep you in the suspense. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but it's such a good before and after. We got to save it for the end. I'm sorry. And lastly, the little wicker baskets that I have on all my windowsills. At Christmas time, I put little solar lights around the trees and little Christmas balls. And in the summer, I like to put little trailing plants in so they hang down, look super pretty. So I put some little tiny plug plants that I got really cheap into the pots. They'll take a while to grow out and be colourful. So we added these little miniature windmills to each one. It was £1 for a 3-pack. So they didn't break the bank, but they add a little bit of colour in the meantime.
We've been cleared for takeoff.
So two guesses where we started. You guessed it right, the garden centre. This is actually home base. I get all of my half dead, discounted flowers and shrubs and stuff, mostly from home base and B&Q. But we were looking around, you know, when you know yourself when you're in there, you gotta look for the orange or yellow tags. That's what tells you when they're discounted. But we couldn't find any. There was a few other herb plants that were reduced, but this sage was only reduced to £2.25, and I had got the exact same sage reduced to £1 from B&Q a few days before that, so I didn't need these. It was absolutely pouring down this day, and you'll see in a second where I'm pointing. The little aisle they use, the little section for all the like half dead discounted plants, they put at the very back. You see where I'm pointing? Out in the rain. I swear they do that on purpose to say, are you really willing to fight for these plants? So here's me like looking out at the rain and assessing, is this worth getting my hair wet? Because I had just blow dried my hair the night before. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I'm gonna go there for the discounted plants. And I was just the whole walk, I was just thinking to myself, please let there be something good. Please God, let there be something there for me. If I go over here and everything is literally completely dead, I'm gonna be an unhappy girly. And the universe rewarded me for getting my hair wrecked. And there was quite a lot of discounted things. They weren't like super discounted. A lot of them were half price. So they were a little bit too steep for me still. But they had these lovely little plants and they were all reduced to £2. So I got a few of those. They also had like little pots of ivy, and I got one of those. I was hoping I could put that in like a hanging basket because I have that in a few other hanging baskets at the house, and it's lovely when it like grows and trails down. It's beautiful. So I grabbed that. And I also had like really tall climber plants. But again, they were only half price. So they were too steep for me at the minute. I'll go back next week and hopefully there's still some in there and they'll be reduced again. Fingers crossed. I loved this little tree with the red flowers right here. I see it all the time in garden centers and I'm obsessed with it, but it was only half price. So Again, fingers crossed it goes down a little bit over the summer and maybe I'll get my hands on one because it is gorgeous. My next stop was B&M. I went in here really just for fun to look at all the cute little decorations you could put on your like patio table and chairs. And then I saw this wreath and I am kind of in the market for a summer wreath. I think it would be cute to decorate the door with and bring some colour to this side of the house. This one was £15, which I didn't think was bad at all because I think it's quite pretty and realistic looking. They had loads of flower garlands and they were all super pretty, but I wasn't sure what to go for, and I wasn't 100% set on it. They had these really cute panels as well, which would be so awesome to have a wall covered in this. But I always wonder how that stands up with the sunshine. I feel like the greens would fade over time. I was just checking out all the cute like candles and accessories and stuff. Really for me, I'm window shopping at this point and I'm looking to think to myself, how could I remake this candle with stuff from the charity shop rather than buying it? I love those. Oh my gosh, I really wanted those for the garden. They were huge, which would be so beautiful when everything starts growing up it. Another candle, which I'm just constantly thinking, how do I replicate this for less? And these are the obelisks that I was telling you about last time. They are £5 home bargains, but £10 here. And they're literally exactly the same. So do with that information what you wish. Then I popped into the pound shop. They usually have some like cute little things for the garden. This time they had loads of bulbs. But all the bulbs that I was wanting were sold out. So that was kind of a bummer. But they did have more of the like bare root rose bushes. I got one last year and it totally came to life this year. But instead of £1, this year they were £2. So, but I did get two of them still. And then lastly, I went to Home Bargains because I was really looking for a wreath to hang from the door, a summer wreath. And I also have two little swags that I hang on my garage doors. They are from Christmas. They're not like overly Christmassy, but a little bit. So I was kind of thinking, can I swap them out for summer ones? And I saw these balls, which I thought were beautiful, really cute, but they were £10 each. And then I thought, could I get one of these watering cans? You see they're flat on one side, and then I could grow flowers in them, and then they could hang on the garage doors. And they were only £2.50, which I thought was really reasonable. I think they're really cute. They had these wreaths as well. They ranged from £10 to £15, but don't you think they're really pretty and like really full looking? I loved those. I thought they were gorgeous. And they had these ones, oh my gosh, with lemons and oranges. They had garlands to match as well. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It was so hard to choose anything. We're back to the ranch and I'm ready to add some colour to the outside of the house. To start, I used these glazed ceramic flower pots, which I inherited with the house. They came with the house when we bought it, which I am super grateful for because these ceramic pots, as you know, are really expensive. They're gorgeous though, aren't they? So I filled them with these little tuberose trees that I already had around the garden, and another one has lilies in, which I put in like 5 years ago, and they come back year after year, which is awesome. And then I finally did it. I took down my Christmas swags at the beginning of June. But you see what I mean? They're not like overly Christmassy. They have like pine cones and some little red berries, but they're mostly just like pretend fir tree. So I kept them up this whole time because without them, it just makes the garage doors look so plain and bland. But I'm gonna try to make some summer swags to hang here instead, and let's see how they look. So when I was in Home Bargains, I saw this like beautiful eucalyptus slash lavender artificial garland. They were originally £6.99, but they were reduced to £5. So awesome. So I got two of them, and this is my idea, okay? I don't have artificial swags, but one thing I have an abundance of in my garden is giant fir trees and different types of fir trees as well. At Christmas time, I take cuttings off them and make like Christmas bouquets and swags to decorate with, and they lasted for months. So my thinking is, why can't I do that and try and make it like a summer swag from the cuttings as well? So I started with the longer, thinner branches, and then I added in some bushier branches that had like little acorns on, and some little branches from trees that had little flowers and berries. I'm obviously not a florist and I'm a complete amateur, so it wasn't going to be perfect or look like it was professionally made, but it was really fun to make it. And I know these swags won't last as long as the ones I made at winter time because it's warm now and they will dry out much quicker in the heat. But if I have to remake this every 2, 3, 4 weeks maybe, I'm actually not mad about that because I really enjoyed making this, and it'll be fun every few weeks to make a new variety, you know, take cuttings from a different tree. Maybe some trees will have different colored flowers by then. I think it'll be kind of fun to like mix it up and stuff. So I'm fine with it drying out and me having to replace it every few weeks. Then I cut up the artificial garland that I got in Home Bargains into smaller pieces and then attached that to the swag as well. At first, I was a little bit unsure. I thought maybe the garland looked too artificial next to the real fir branches. But once I saw it hung on the garage door, I think it worked really well. And I think the artificial lavender flowers like bring some colour to it. And I think it goes really lovely together. So I'm really, really happy with it. And considering both the swags cost me £5 altogether, I think it worked out really, really well. To bring it all together, I just used giant jumbo cable ties and just scrunched up all the branches up at the top together, and that was it. It was that easy. And then next, I really wanted a wreath to hang on the door. I got this little metal Be Happy sign last year in B&M. It was on sale for £3, and I just added the little leaves at the bottom myself. And I got 2 of the lavender garlands in Home Bargains because my plan is to use the second garland to make this wreath better and make it match with the swags on the garage door. So I just used a few more cable ties to attach the garland around the wreath, and that's how easy it was. I am completely in love. I'm obsessed with it. I can't believe how beautiful and full the wreath ended up. I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that the wreath and the swags match. Like, I think they're just so beautiful together. And considering all 3 of those cost me £10 altogether, I couldn't beat that. I think that was really amazing. And the wreath is all artificial, so it will last all year, next year, the year after that. And the swags, I'm happy to make again and again. So complete win. This was my favorite project this week for sure. So this right here is one of my chicken coops. It sits right next to my vegetable garden. It's primarily used for when there is baby chicks, and that's why it has a kind of caged courtyard area, so that the baby chicks can come and explore outside without being outside and open to predators. It works really well, it keeps my chickens safe, but it's not super pretty looking. There's one super massive chive plant at the front there you can see, and over the years little baby chive plants have sprouted up around this area, and I've relocated them to go around the edge of the chicken coop, so that has made it a bit better. And I have one climber you can see on the front of the netting, and it's doing pretty well, but I think we could do better with it. So I got these little miniature hanging baskets. They were £2 each in the pound shop. I think they're really cute because they're only like half size, you know, they're not the full size baskets. But for £12, I think it'll do perfectly for going around the chicken coop. I also got a pack of seeds, and that was £1, and the soil was £3.50. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I was in home base and they had these giant climbers reduced. They were half price, which would have made them £12. But when I went to the till to pay for them, they had been half priced again. So they were £6. So I thought that is so awesome. That's totally perfect for the chicken coop. So this is what I'm working with. My total was £22.50, and let's see what magic we can do to make this look even better. This poor little plant was so desperate to get into a bigger pot. The roots had grown through the bottom of the pot and they would just, you know, completely fill the pot and were rock hard. So it took me a minute to get the pot off it. I'm sure it couldn't wait to get into the ground. So once I had it into the ground, I was a little unsure if I should cut the ties that were tying it all together. I had never bought a climber this big before, so I wasn't sure, was I supposed to just tie it as is to the chicken wire and then let it spread out itself, or should I cut away the ribbon and will it spread out? I wasn't sure, but I thought, you know, it looked so constrained and unhappy all tied up like that, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. I started cutting off the tags they'd used to wrap it around like a bamboo pole, and it all kind of like filled out. It had loads of really long branches. And then I had this pack of basically little tiny hair clips, but they're for plants. I had them in my garden shed for a really long time, and I thought this would be perfect for it. So I stretched out the little branches. Look how big the branches are. I couldn't believe how much was actually all here together. But I stretched out the branches, and then I just used those little clips to attach it to the chicken wire. And those clips are so much easier than cable ties or the gardening wire, because you can just take them off and move them as you please. They're not like super tight, you know, they're not restricting the growth. So I thought they were really awesome. Look how big this plant actually was once I untied it all and clipped it out of the chicken wire. It was massive. I had no idea how big it would be, so I'm so pleased with that. And then I put these two little bricks just at the base for now, because my chickens, they just love, if I put something new in, they have to dig it out. They're super curious, you know. But I thought I'd put the bricks here, it'll give it a chance to get established before the chickens can get at it, you know. But I am so pleased with it. I gave it a really good water. You could tell it was so happy to be out in the sunshine and not all tied up and getting some water. I'm sure it really loved it. Next, I did the little hanging baskets. I filled them up with the soil. I had 2 strawberry plants that didn't have a home, so I thought, yeah, why not stick those into a couple of the baskets? And then I tried to evenly distribute the seeds throughout each basket. I think I probably used too many seeds and overloaded the baskets, but as it grows through, I can always take some out if needs be. But yeah, I load them up with the seeds and then I give them a good water. Alrighty, I got these today. The giant ones were £5 on sale in B&Q, and the little ones were from the pound shop. I'm hoping I can use these and these giant cable ties to try and make a cone in the middle of the tractor tire. And then my plan is to grow pumpkins inside there. But obviously I've never done this before, and I don't know really what I'm doing, but I'll give it my best shot.
I'm her assistant.
This is my assistant boss. She's mostly here to make jokes and to look good. Nice. Okay. In my last video, I got tons of really great advice on things I should do with the tractor tire. A lot of people suggested painting it, but to be honest with you, between painting the fences and painting the windowsills, I'm not really looking for anything else that I have to touch up or maintain. So I would rather not paint it. I think because of how harsh our weather can be, that anything that's outside will need to be repainted quite regularly. I also did consider making a wooden frame to go around the tractor tire, but to be honest, where we live in farmland. We're surrounded by farms. It's not as abnormal as it might be in other areas, and a lot of people use these big tractor tires as planters. And I think once I've built this giant obelisk in the middle, it will show that it's being used as a vegetable planter, and it hasn't just fallen off our tractor and we've left it lying there like a scrapyard. I used a cable tie to secure the big pieces at the top together. It was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, so that's easy enough, and I think it looks really cute, and it's pretty sturdy. My concern is though, if I use these little sticks and I cut them smaller and then like put them around like this, what happens if the pumpkins grow inside? Like, do you just leave those ones and abandon them, or like how can I access the inside to get to those pumpkins? And if I can put my hands in and get in there, that means the chickens can as well. So I'm not sure how to work around that. I cut the smaller bamboo sticks to size, and then I just used strong garden twine to tie them around the bigger bamboo sticks and try to create the obelisk look. My plan is to make the gaps too small for the chickens to fit through, but big enough that I can put my hand and my arm inside in case I do need to, you know, maintain pumpkins that grow on the inside, or remove leaves or anything like that, or get down into the soil and remove slugs and stuff like that. So I'm hopeful that the chickens don't just force themselves in, because they've been known to do that, and they'll just leave it alone. But yeah, I think that's the best option that I can think of for now. I had another ceramic flower pot, but the soil had been left for so long, it was really compacted and dry. So I thought, okay, let me try to loosen up the soil a little bit. I started digging into it, and yeah, the pot fell apart. I assume it already had cracks in it, and then the pressure of me trying to cut into the soil was enough to just make it pop. So I had left it to the side for a couple of weeks. Really, I was thinking it was going to have to go to the dump. But then I thought, is there anything we could do with it rather than waste it? Because I hate to waste anything. So I brought it over to my little flower bed area and I laid it on its side. I didn't want it to roll around, so I dug out a little trench that it could lay inside of. And then I took out all the weeds and stuff that were inside it, and I had some flowers left over from doing the other flower pots in the garden. So I tried to make it look like the pot had fallen over and the flowers continued to grow and spread out onto the ground. And considering this little pot was destined for the dump, I think it's pretty happy that it has a new home, and I think it looks really cute. So in my last video, I showed you my little semicircle flower bed. I'm thinking, would it be cute to have another semicircle flower bed directly facing it? Because last time I put these little plants in the ground, they're doing really well. I have bricks left over from previous projects, so it wouldn't cost me anything. And it just gives me more space to grow flowers and create some depth in the garden, maybe. If you need things to be perfect and symmetrical, you probably shouldn't watch this part. Remember that I'm just doing it for fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. So this is what I did with the other semicircle as well. I just laid out the bricks to give me an idea of the shape. And then I used the shovel to dig a little trench to put the bricks down into. And I cleared the top of the flower bed, just lifting off the top layer of grass. So one of the very few seeds that I actually managed to grow last year were lupin seeds. And I think I ended up with maybe 4 that actually grew and my chickens didn't destroy. But look how big they've gotten. They're literally thriving so much. This plant is huge. You'll see in a second when I'm next to it how big it actually is. But I made a bit of a rookie mistake because I put it here in another section of the garden next to this little wall, a wall that my dogs love to jump over and chase each other over. And you can already see parts of these plants have been trampled. This poor purple one right here is barely hanging on because the dogs have crushed it so many times. So my thinking is I should relocate these lupin plants over to my vegetable garden and to try to fill out the flower beds. Larry Jamieson commented and said that this bleeding heart would do really well in the ground. I got it a couple of weeks ago for £2, and this is when I got it, and now look how much bigger it is already. So I think you're right, Terry. I think this would be perfect for going in my flower bed. I'm also going to add some little plants that I got for £1. They're all perennials, so they'll come back year after year, which will make the flower bed really low maintenance. And I think they'll be really beautiful together. Once everything grows and starts flowering, I think it'll look really like an English cottage garden. And can you see now with me next to it how big that lupin plant really is? It's huge. And it has made like a perfect addition to this side of the garden. Absolutely obsessed with it. And lastly, I covered the top of the flower bed with stones. People have commented in my last video to say that you'll need to put down like a weed sheet before the stones if you don't want the grass and stuff to grow up through. That's not really the reason I'm putting the stones down. My hope is that all the plants in here fill out the flower bed before the grass and weeds get a chance to grow up through the stones. I'm putting the stones down to deter my chickens from digging up all these plants, because that's their favorite thing to do, is dig up everything that I plant. And I know these are not the same colored stones as in the other flower bed. I know that, but these are the stones that I already had. So, you know, it's a budget garden. You got to work with what you've got. And as I said, soon the flowers will fill out the flower bed and you won't be able to see the stones. So it won't matter they're a different color. I should also take this opportunity to mention seeds. A lot of people in the comments recommended growing seeds, and that's my fault. I didn't explain it properly. I'm sure everybody thought I was crazy, thinking, why are you not growing seeds? You can buy 4,000 wildflower seeds in the pound shop. 4,000 seeds for £1. That is insane. So, I mean, a couple of boxes of those and you sprinkle all over your garden and you have an English cottage garden for £2. For sure, that would be the most cost effective, easiest thing possible. Um, if you don't have free range chickens. I do have free range chickens. My chickens are my little gems. I love them, but they are truly free range. As soon as the sun comes up in the morning until the sun goes down at night, my chickens can go wherever they choose, and they regularly choose to be in my garden. It's where they feel safe and they like to be near us. And one of their favourite hobbies to do is to dig up things that I plant. If I put down seeds, they either eat the seed immediately. If I dig up the soil, they're curious, you know, so they'll come over to any earth that has been turned over and they'll dig it up more because they want to know, what were you doing there in that soil, you know? They're very curious animals. So they'll either eat the seed right away, or if by chance they miss the seed and that little seed gets a chance to sprout up, as soon as the new growth comes up, they'll eat it. I can't even plant bulbs. Over the years, I've planted loads of bulbs and nothing ever got a chance to grow because my chickens either eat the new growth or dig up the bulb. So the only thing I can put in the garden is more established plants, for now anyways. So I'm sorry I didn't make that clear. I'm sure everybody thought that I was like dumb or something, like why I wasn't using seeds, but I hope that explains the reason why. So before I show you the before and after, I want to go over what was spent this time. This one was a more expensive spend, but it will probably be the last of the expenses. So all the seeds and herbs add up to £20. The hydrangea was £7.50, £14 on flowers altogether. The two lavender garlands, £10. And then the hanging baskets and the climber for the chicken coop were £22.50 altogether. £7 on bleach, although that was for my entire house, so I think that's pretty fair. And then £6 on the giant makeshift obelisk. So that brings my total to £87. Adding that on from last time's expenses, that brings me to £141, which seems like a lot of money. Let me show you the before and afters, and you can tell me if you think I got a good deal or not. So this was my house when we started a few weeks ago, and this is my house now. This is what the walls used to look like, and now this is what they look like. This is how the vegetable garden started off, and this is how it's going. I am so blown away with the transformation. I had no idea how good the garden and the house could look. So I'm just blown away. I cannot believe it. And I enjoyed every single bit of it, even when it was raining, and even when the stingy nettles were stinging me. It was so worth it, and it was so much fun. I have more that I want to do on this side of the garden. I think that's like the amazing thing about gardening, it doesn't ever have to end. If you want to keep changing things and adding things, you can. So I have more ideas and more I want to do in this side of the garden, that's for sure. But I cannot wait for all the pumpkins and vegetables to grow and for all the flowers to get bigger. And I think by the end of this summer, this will actually be an English cottage garden, which I didn't know was possible at the beginning. Next time, I'm going to be teaching myself how to take cuttings from my plants so I can get some free plants. And I'm also going to be trying to figure out slug repellent and plant food that is super cost effective and hopefully natural. So I think that'll be really fun. Me and the kids have been searching on Pinterest and we have some crafts we're going to do for the garden as well. And I'm almost too afraid to say this out loud because I know how much work will be involved. But right next to my vegetable garden, in the middle of my driveway, is a really big semicircle that is filled with stones and it has a little tree in the middle. Would I be crazy to try to transform this semicircle into something more like this? Is it too crazy? Am I underestimating how much work there is? I know this is a longer video than I would normally do, so if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope it was enjoyable for you. And I just want to take a second as well to say thank you to everyone who left such lovely comments on my last video. It was so overwhelming and so appreciated. I live in the middle of nowhere and my family and friends all live in another country. So no one really comes to my garden. So it's really nice to share it, even though it's just strangers on the internet. It's still so nice to have other people enjoy my garden and find my shenanigans slightly funny. It's heartwarming. So again, thank you so much. I'm really, really appreciative of that. My kids have been helping me water the garden recently, so I don't have any videos of nice tranquil watering this time round, but I thought I would leave you with some lovely shots of the landscape around our home because it really is a beautiful place. Thanks for joining me today. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.